Chapter 4. It would be nice if I could touch your body. Oh, the sweetest thing. Sirius POV. Usually, Sirius woke slowly, taking the time to map out his surroundings with his body before he deigned to open an eye. That morning, however, coming to with soft skin under his hands, a leg pressed between his, and his face hidden in someone's neck, he woke up pretty fucking quick. He froze, breathing in the scent of Remus Lupin and committing it to memory, just in case he wasn't given the chance to do this again. It was then that he realized he'd been rolling his morning wood into Remus's hip, slow and steady. He'd clearly been hard for a while. The soft fabric of the tracksuit bottoms he'd been lent, tacky with pre-cum, as they shifted ever so slightly over the head of his cock. Remus's hand was wrapped firmly around the back of his neck, the other man's breath deep, and even as he held Sirius to him. He looked so handsome asleep, his face slack and near persistent frown smoothed out. The big scar that dissected his tan skin was silvery in the morning light that filtered through gauzy curtains, and Sirius had to hold himself back from running his fingers over it. Without moving, he let his gaze roam over Remus's exposed torso, pride swelling inside at the small hickeys that decorated his chest. Hips twitching forward once more, he muffled a groan into the other man's bare skin, sucking some of it between his teeth as he fought with every ounce of his self-control to stop himself from running up against Remus. He isn't awake, he told himself. He can't say yes. It was then that he noticed Remus starting to shift, coming awake with a low groan. Releasing the skin between his teeth, Sirius wondered just how he'd look to Remus, cheeks flushed with arousal and lips shiny with saliva. "Good morning," he mumbled, pressing his face back to Remus's chest. "Did you sleep well?" Remus hummed, pulling Sirius closer to him for a second and smearing his face into the spit-wet spot on Remus's chest. He probably deserved that. "Morning, Cuddlebug." His voice was low and gravelly, and the tone combined with the nickname made Sirius's hip twitch forward again, the movement outside of his control. It pressed his hard cock up against Remus once more, and the man let out a breathy laugh into Sirius's hair. "Oh, it's like that, is it?" "I'm sorry," he mumbled, feeling his face heat in embarrassment. "Woke up like this. Hasn't gone down yet." Remus's frame shook with quiet laughter, holding Sirius close to him as if to reassure the boy. "To be 23 again, You don't need to apologize, love." Sirius nipped at Remus's chest in retaliation, feeling a little better about the situation, but fighting a pout that he'd been relegated back to love. "No." "No?" Remus asked confusedly, releasing Sirius and sitting up with a heavy exhale to stretch. "What are we saying no to first thing in the morning?" "You're Cuddlebug. You can't take it back now." Sirius picked at a thread in the sheets, stomach flipping as he waited for Remus's response. "You call everyone love." Remus sighed again, lifting Sirius's chin with a careful hand. "Sirius, you aren't just anyone. I can promise you that, but..." He paused, seeing the boy's dejected face. "But last night doesn't mean that I'm discarding everything we talked about on Thursday. We still need to make sure we're compatible if you want to play." "And what if I just want you?" Sirius mumbled, refusing to meet Remus's eye. "I don't... Sirius, Atelier isn't my life. I would never claim it to be. I'm interested in a relationship beyond the realms of just sex. Kink is, however, a key part of my sexual relationships." He took a deep breath before continuing. "And if you aren't interested in pursuing the same sort of relationship that I am, then it would be pointless for both of us." Sirius's face remained downtrodden, and he took a chance in pressing a small kiss to the inside of Remus's wrist as his hand held his chin in place. "It's only ever been you." Remus was silent for a minute, long enough to make Sirius start looking for an escape route. "Can you explain what you mean?" "When Jamie and I were at school, and I knew that it was boys I liked because of the way he saw girls and boys, I didn't find any of the girls from town pretty, but they didn't make me feel anything. But really, While I found some of the boys attractive, then they never made me, uh, Sirius paused in his ramble, seeing Remus's encouraging nod before he continued. Never made my belly go all tight and twisty, or made my mouth water the way you do. I did a little bit of research yesterday, like you told me. That's good, Sirius. Remus released his chin, finally, and let him look elsewhere. Except now he dropped his hand to rest on Sirius's knee, pressing warmth through the fabric. Some of it, he took a deep breath. Some of it made me scared, but some of it made me feel hot and desperate to try. I just mean that I'm not interested in trying it with a random person you trust. If we aren't compatible, that's okay. I wouldn't want either of us to be unhappy. But the person doing the things to me, when I imagine them, that person is you. That's what gets me hard, that you're doing those things to me, not that they're being done. Remus nodded like he understood exactly what Sirius meant, then stood from the bed and walked towards the wardrobe, picking through clothing without saying anything to him. It made Sirius nervous. Was Remus going to deny him point blank? So here's what we're going to do then. Remus spoke in a very matter-of-fact way. You are going to stay in here, and I'll bring you a hard copy of that list for you to fill out and an iPad for any more research you need to do. And I'll go to my office and fill my own copy in, then come back and entertain myself. Answer any questions you have. Does that sound good? Sirius nodded, chewing on his lower lip. And then we'll look at them together? Yes, Sirius. We'll go through them and move forward together. Okay, he affirmed, sitting with his legs crossed in the middle of Remus's big bed. Thank you. He'd spent the better part of an hour looking like some sort of conspiracy theorist, surrounded by the research he'd done and his list of forbidden pleasures, when Remus came back through his door. How's it going? He asked carefully, choosing to sit on the sofa instead of joining Sirius on the bed. Good, I think, Sirius mumbled, barely looking up, lest he get distracted. Some of the porn that comes up is scary, though. Yeah, Remus's voice was tainted with amusement. They really skip from tame into hardcore with little in between. I'd avoid it if I were you. Sirius hummed an acknowledgement, assigning a score to the last item on the list. I think I'm finished. Looking up, he watched as Remus stood and withdrew his own list from his back pocket. The other man had taken the time to dress in a fresh set of Professor Lupin clothes, an outfit that had made Sirius sigh wistfully as he dressed, reminiscent of a young Indiana Jones. I want to see yours, Sirius prompted when Remus held his hand out for Sirius's sheet. You still don't trust me, to be honest? Remus sighed, exchanging their sheets like some sort of hostage negotiation, raising an eyebrow when Sirius hugged Remus's list to his chest. Sirius shook his head, clutching the paper close. It's not that. I just feel very, exposed? That's fair enough. I didn't think of that. Remus agreed, sitting cross-legged opposite Sirius. Sirius stared with wide eyes down at Remus's filled-out sheet of paper, trying to slow his brain down enough to actually take in the information. Remus's list. Role, dominant. Experience level, advanced. Pain tolerance, 1 through 10. 6. Sexual orientation, bisexual. Physical and mental limits. Beating, extreme degradation, consensual non-consent, chastity devices, genital and water torture, scat, knife play, extreme/long-lasting restraints. Sex. Experience level Y/N. I will be saying yes or no. Desire rating 1 through 5. Kissing. Yes. 5. Massage. Yes. 5. External genital stimulation. Yes. 5. Fingering. Yes. 4. Fisting. Yes. 2. Vaginal toys. Yes. 4. Anal toys. Yes. 4. Vaginal sex. Yes. 5. Anal sex. Yes. 5. Oral sex. Yes. 5. Threesome. Yes. 3. Bondage. Full body. Restraint 0 to 1 hours. Yes, 4. Restraint 1 to 3 hours. Yes, 3. Full day restraints. Yes, 1. Leather restraints. Yes, 3. Metal restraints. Yes, 3. Rope. Yes, 2. Shibari. Yes, 3. Suspension. Yes, 3. Genital bondage. Yes, 1. Mummification. No, 1. Containment. Yes, 1. Predicament bondage. Yes, 1. Gags. Yes, 3. Sensory deprivation. Yes, 3. Chastity devices. Yes, 1. S&M. Spanking. Yes, 5. Face slapping. Yes, 4. Biting. Yes, 3. Nipple torture. Yes, 2. Genital torture. Yes, 1. Water sports. Yes, 3. Scat play. No, 1. Punching/beating. Yes, 1. Bruising. Yes, 3. Scratching. Yes, 2. Hair pulling. Yes, 4. Choking/arterial. Yes, 4. Breath play. Yes, 2. Water torture. Yes, 1. Smothering. Yes, 1. Fire play. No, 1. Bastinado. No, 1. Knife play. Yes, 1. Blood play. Yes, 1. Electric play. Yes, 1. Ice/cold play. Yes, 4. Hot wax play. Yes, 4. Tickling. Yes, 2. Wrestling. No, 1. Humiliation. Private. Yes, 3. Public. Yes, 1. Dilation. Vaginal. No, 1. Anal. No, 1. Verbal abuse. Yes, 2. Branding. No, 1. Scarification. Yes, 1. Tattooing. No, 1. Enemas. Yes, 2. Gagging. Yes, 2. Gagging during oral sex. Yes, 4. Punishment. Yes, 4. Power play. Begging. Yes, 4. Orders. Yes, 3. Behavior restriction. Yes, 3. Speech restriction. Yes, 3. Eye contact restriction. Yes, 3. Bathroom control. Yes, 2. Forced behaviors. Exercise. Yes, 1. Masturbation. Yes, 2. Orgasms. Yes, 2. Nudity. Yes, 1. Orgasm control denial. Yes, 4. Dirty talk. Yes, 5. Praise. Yes, 5. Public play. Yes, 1. Discreet play. Yes, 3. Clothing chosen. Yes, 1. Food chosen. Yes, 1. Resistance. No, 1. Genital worship. Yes, 4. Foot worship. No, 1. Symbolic jewelry. Yes, 4. Serving as furniture. No, 1. Serving as art. No, 1. Serving as ashtray. No, 1. Serving as toilet. Urine. No, 1. Feces. No, 1. Lecturing. Yes, 3. Serious's list. Role, submissive. Experience level, virgin. Pain tolerance, 1 through 10. 5. Sexual orientation, gay. Question mark? Physical/mental limits, beating and verbal abuse. Sex. Kissing. Yes, 5. Massage. No, 4. External genital stimulation. Yes, 5. Fingering. No, 4. Fisting. No, 1. Vaginal toys. Anal toys. No, 3. Vaginal sex. Anal sex. No, 5. Oral sex. No, 5. Threesome. No, 2. Bondage. Full body. Restraint 0 to 1 hours. No, 4. Restraint 1 to 3 hours. No, 2. Full day restraints. No, 1. Leather restraints. No, 3. Metal restraints. No, 2. Rope. No, 2. Shibari. No, 3. Suspension. No, 2. Genital bondage. No, 1. Mummification. No, 1. Containment. Yes, 1. Predicament bondage. No, 1. Gags. No, 1. Sensory deprivation. No, 1. Chastity devices. No, 1. S&M. Spanking. No, 4. Face slapping. No, 4. Biting. Yes, 5. Nipple torture. No, 1. Genital torture. No, 1. Water sports. No, 4. Scat play. No, 0. Punching/beating. Yes, 0. Bruising. No, 4. Scratching. No, 3. Hair pulling. No, 5. Choking/arterial. No, 3. Breath play. No, 3. Water torture. No, 1. Smothering. No, 1. Fire play. No, 1. Bastinado. No, 1. Knife play. No, 1. Blood play. No, 1. Electric play. No, 1. Sorry, this is a lot. Ice/cold play. No, 3. Hot wax play. No, 4. Tickling. No, 3. Wrestling. No, 2. Humiliation. Private. No, 4. Public. No, 1. Dilation. Vaginal. Kept blank. Anal. No, 1. Verbal abuse. No, 0. Branding. No, 1. Scarification. No, 1. Tattooing. Yes, 4. Enemas. No, 2. Gagging. No, 3. Gagging during oral sex. No, 4. Punishment. No, 4. Power play. Begging. No, 4. Orders. No, 4. Behavior restriction. No, 2. Speech restriction. No, 4. Eye contact restriction. No, 2. Bathroom control. No, 3. Forced behaviors. Exercise. No, 1. Masturbation. No, 2. Orgasms. No, 2. Nudity. No, 2. Orgasm/control denial. No, 4. Dirty talk. No, 5. Praise. No, 5. Public play. No, 1. Discreet public play. No, 3. Clothing chosen. No, 3. Food chosen. No, 3. Resistance. No, 1. Genital worship. No, 4. Foot worship. No, 1. Symbolic jewelry. No, 3. Serving as furniture. No, 1. Serving as art. No, 1. Serving as ashtray. No, 1. Serving as toilet. Urine. No, 3. Feces. No, 1. Lecturing. No, 4. God, Remus had done so many of the things on the list. Most of the ones he'd termed as too scary to even consider sexually, Remus had tried, but given ones to. Although some of the others he'd marked low that Sirius had marked high. That made him roll his lips together nervously. You could have gone with beginner rather than virgin, Remus snorted, looking up at Sirius over the paper. Can I have mine back now? Pouting, Sirius handed the sheet back, watching as Remus smoothed it out and laid it on the bed next to Sirius's. So what now? Now we look at them together. Remus patted the spot next to him, and Sirius crawled over the bed so that they were side by side. And I might ask you some questions, okay? Sirius nodded, scooting as close as he thought he could get away with. Sex-wise, we seem to be on the same page, Remus commented with a tinge of amusement. Have you left all the vaginal activities blank? Sirius hummed. Well, I don't have one, so... Okay, he laughed. You get turned on by tattooing? No, Sirius responded confusedly. So why have you listed it as a 4? Oh, Sirius pouted. I really like the look of them. Okay, Remus smiled before asking with some interest. You've tried containment before? Yep, not a fan of that one, Sirius replied in a flat tone. I used to get the cupboard a lot before I left home. Always felt like I was in Miss Trunchbull's office, minus the spikes. You wouldn't want to consider it in a sexual manner? Remus asked carefully, and Sirius's eyes flickered to the score on Remus's sheet. You don't either, Sirius accused. I know that, Remus soothed him, with a hand on his shoulder. I'm trying to parse out how you interpreted the 1 to 5 scoring system. Sighing with relief, Sirius snuggled into Remus's shoulder. Well, the ones marked 5 are the ones that made my belly go all twisty the way you make me feel. He tried to contain his blush and probably failed. 3s are the things I think could be interesting but don't inspire any sense of urgency in me, and 1s are the things I don't like the sound of. Humming, Remus flipped the paper over. And the ones you put 0 next to? He asked with a grin. Those are the things I put as limits at the top. You can probably guess about the beating and verbal abuse. The scat thing just... ugh. Sirius gave a shiver he didn't really need to fake. Remus was quiet for a minute before he pointed to something else on the list. Can you explain the difference between scat play and water sports? Face fire engine red, Sirius squirmed on the spot and played with a thread on Remus's trousers. No? Okay, that's all right, the older man reassured him. Did it just feel different when you were considering them? Mm-hmm, Sirius hummed, staring resolutely at the paper. Shall I explain how I interpreted the 1 to 5 scoring system? Remus asked gently, continuing at Sirius's jerky nod. So, as far as things I've tried, if they have a 2 next to them, I don't particularly enjoy them, but I would consider doing them for my partner. Anything with a 1 next to it I consider to be a hard limit, and I wouldn't go near it with any partner, regardless of who they may be to me. Acts given a 3 are I have tried and maybe enjoyed, but wouldn't rush back to. A 4 would be something I would look to include in my play regularly, but maybe for specific scenes or special occasions. Anything with a 5 I have enjoyed immensely and would include perhaps not every time I have sex, but certainly more often than not. You understand that some things on this list are easier to include regularly than others? Like praise and wax play? Sirius asked, tilting his head so that his chin was propped on Remus's shoulder, staring up at the side profile of his face. Exactly. Remus gave a small smile. Did you read up on dominant and submissive roles like I asked? Sirius sighed, frowning softly until Remus's thumb smoothed the line on his forehead over. I did, but I don't think I fit into just one. That's not surprising, Bug, Remus reassured him. Most people don't. Oh, Sirius's heart calmed a little at that, trying to smother a smile into Remus's shoulder at the return of his pet name. There were lots of different types, but I think maybe I'm a mix of service and little boy? Humming, Remus stroked a hand over Sirius's now messy braid. I would probably agree with that, although you might uncover more about yourself the deeper into playing you get, or as you grow in confidence. I don't think I'm a switch. Sirius spoke quickly, blurting the information into the empty mass of pillows and sheets before them. What sort of dom are you? Letting out a laugh, Remus rubbed his free hand over his face. That's the 1,000-pound question, isn't it? If I had to say, then I would guess that I would be characterized as a classic dominant because of how varied my play and partners have been. From what I've discovered of myself through my long-term relationships, I expect you would term me as somewhat of a service top, perhaps in some ways a daddy. I like to look after my partner, wrap them in cotton wool. That sounds nice, Sirius whispered, rubbing his cheek into Remus's shirt. Gentle. Remus pressed a kiss to Sirius's hair. It does, His happiness was interrupted quite quickly, however, when he focused on the black and whites of their scores side by side. Do you think I'm weird? Now, why would you ask me that, Bug? Remus grasped one of Sirius's hands in his, tugging at each of his fingers in turn. Some of the things I want to try, Sirius whispered, trailing off as his chest tightened. Jamie made a joke about some of the things on the list that I thought might be fun when I was looking them up. Remus sighed, dropping Sirius's hand and standing from the bed. Panicking, Sirius knelt high on his knees and reached out for one of Remus's shoulders. When Remus didn't flinch back from his touch, he settled into a kneeling position and stared at the other man inquisitively. Often, people make jokes without considering other people's opinions. Maybe James thought that he was joking about was outside the realm of things you might like. Remus started in a quiet voice. But that doesn't make you weird. The fact that these things are on the list means that at least a few thousand people with access to the internet like to do them. And the whole point of trying things is to see if you like them. As long as the people engaging in a behavior are safe and happy, there is nothing wrong with it. If you wanted to be restrained and waterboarded because you thought it would get you off, that wouldn't change my opinion of you. With a small smile on his face, Sirius reached for Remus with grabby hands. You're very reassuring. Humming, Remus tugged the smaller boy closer and wrapped him up in a tight hug, one hand playing with the tail of his plate. Good. This is about you discovering what you like. And? Sirius whispered carefully. And what? Do we match enough for you to play with me? Bug. Remus began warningly, exhaling sharply through his nose when Sirius playfully nipped at his neck, causing him to push the other boys backwards onto the bed. I did everything you asked, Sirius exclaimed, a little sad and frustrated. I did what you said and was honest, and I just think that you should be honest with me too. Remus POV. You're right, Remus sighed, trying to refrain from reaching back out and grabbing the boy with tears clinging to his lashes. You've been so good, doing everything I asked. And, that was interesting, the way Sirius squirmed when he praised him. He really meant that 5, huh? We match, and we are clearly attracted to one another, Remus allowed. We are? Sirius questioned, his whole body having snapped to attention at Remus's declaration. Yes, Bug. I get the twisties for you too. Yay! Sirius did what Remus thought was supposed to be a little happy dance, bouncing ever so slightly on his knees and wiggling his hips from side to side. But we need to talk about work, Remus continued. This is a little complicated because I'm both the owner of the club and your direct superior. You need to trust that I won't use any relationship we have against you, and that I won't bring any frustration from work into our scenes. Sirius nodded, rolling his lips between his teeth. The contract thing that Jamie signed? Exactly. Remus sighed. If you sign it, then you're saying that you enter into this freely, and I haven't coerced you, and you couldn't sue us for sexual harassment or wrongful termination if we had to let you go. Okay, Sirius nodded. What about if we stopped playing together? We'd sign another piece of paper that had the date of our personal relationship was terminated. That would then go on file, so if something else happened, we'd both be protected, legally. Like if you started stalking me or something? Remus merely hummed. Additionally, you need to understand that there are several people that I've played with, like Eve. He rose an eyebrow. Who come into the club. You can't be rude to them when you're behind the bar. Would you be with them at the same time you're with me? Sirius blurted, and Remus had to repress a fond smile. No, Bug, Remus said quietly. I think you'd be an exception to a rule of mine. What do you mean? Generally, I only play with subs once, unless they're very experienced and unlikely to form attachments. Oh, Sirius said softly. But you'd want me more? Watching him closely as a flush climbed up his bare chest and onto his neck, Remus responded. I would. Exclusive access to one Sirius Black. So I'd be yours? Sirius whispered, shifting in place. In a manner of speaking, yes. I'd expect that you would only be with me for as long as we were in the same boat, and I'd only be with you. Remus grinned as Sirius's eyes lit up. Do you like that idea, Bug? Nodding fast, Sirius knee-walked to the edge of the bed and played with the untucked hem of Remus's shirt. I've never had anything everyone else wants before. I highly doubt that. Remus laughed, tugging on the hem of the other boys' borrowed tracksuit bottoms. The rich boys who went to private school? But all the other boys there were also pretty rich, Sirius argued. Besides, around here you're the main prize. Is that right? Remus teased him. I think James and Lily might argue that with you. Sirius whispered, lifting his arms to wrap around Remus and attaching his mouth to Remus's collarbone, sucking gently at the skin. Letting Sirius bite at him, all Remus could think that this is what his life was for the foreseeable future. He tried to suppress the grin at that idea, but with the smaller boy's face tucked into his neck, he saw no harm in letting it loose. Holding him back just as tightly, he slipped the hair tie free and began to work the plait out of Sirius's hair. Now dry, it fell in gentle waves, and Sirius's gentle moan at the sensation of fingers against his scalp reverberated in Remus's chest. You gonna leave me covered in hickeys, If you let me, Sirius sniggered out. I love it. Will you give me some too? You want me to mark you? Remus asked, tone gravelly, the idea of bruising up Sirius making the possessive side of his brain sing. Sirius hummed, licking over the mark he'd just made. Make me yours. Maybe I'll keep the creeps from hitting on me. The joke fell flat between them, and Remus pulled away with his fists tight in Sirius's dark tresses, forcing him to withdraw also. The action made the smaller boy moan, and Remus smirked as he connected the information to what he already knew of Sirius. It might, which is totally fucked up, Remus told him. You shouldn't need to have a partner for someone to take a hint, but if you want me to leave hickeys all over you, then I certainly won't say no. Yay, yay, yay! Sirius wiggled his way forward until he was centimeters in front of Remus's face. What about kissing? Will you kiss me now? Suppressing a smile at how adorable Sirius was, happy and flushed and so fucking kissable, Remus lifted his hand from Sirius's hip to cup his cheek, smoothing his thumb over his full lower lip. Humming, he drew the boy closer to him and pressed a soft kiss to his lips, holding him gently to his body. Kiss you like that? Mm-hmm, Sirius hummed. And maybe like this? Sirius let their lips brush once more, flicking his tongue out to trace Remus's bottom lip and waiting for his permission to deepen the kiss. Arousal shot down Remus's spine at the thought that Sirius was already deferring to him, waiting for his guidance. He hummed a little and then opened his mouth, letting Sirius tentatively explore before he took over, controlling the pace of their kiss. When he pulled back, Sirius let out a broken moan and pouted up at him, a tiny trail of saliva connecting their mouths. More? Not yet. Remus wiped a thumb across his mouth and softly kissed his forehead. Don't pout at me, Bug. I was thinking we could maybe take a bath together before I take you home. Does that sound good? Sirius's eyes went wide with something like awe and desire, and he nodded quickly, leaning forward to brush a sweet kiss to Remus's cheek. Please? The water was cloudy with bath salts and smelled sweetly of orange, steam curling in front of their faces. Remus's body was lax, tugging gently at the hairs escaping Sirius's bun and humming, Here Comes the Sun, under his breath. Sirius's back was pressed to his front, and he turned his head ever so often to press a kiss to whatever part of Remus's body he could reach. "You're so sweet, aren't you, love?" Remus cooed at him, laughing softly at the frown that marred his face. "Am I only allowed to call you my cuddle bug from now on?" Sirius's nose wrinkled, and he moved awkwardly until he was sat straddling Remus's lap, apparently not at all worried about pressing his erection into Remus's stomach. "It makes me feel special when you call me something different to everyone else." "You are special to me," Remus sighed, tugging him forward until his head rested on his clammy collarbone, stroking the bare skin of his shoulder softly. "I'm excited to see where this might go. You're so sweet and innocent. I want to be careful with you. You deserve to be treasured, Sirius." "What do you mean?" Sirius asked quietly, unmoving from his spot on Remus's chest. "I mean that we're not in any rush. We still need to sign the contract." He sighed, thinking of how Lily would mock him when he would inevitably have to ask for a copy of the love contract she had drawn up. "But we're not going to jump straight into bed once we do." "No?" Sirius asked, and even without looking, Remus could hear the cheeky grin on his face. "Behave," Remus admonished him. "I mean that I don't see a point in taking this from 0 to 100 immediately. I'd like to get to know you and see how we move naturally." "So you still don't want to play with me?" Sirius whispered dejectedly. Remus snorted, rocking his hips just a little so Sirius could feel his half-hard cock against his arse. "Believe me, Bug, I definitely want to play with you." Sirius gasped, rolling his hips and making the water splash until Remus stilled him. "Are you getting hard?" Remus quirked an eyebrow, watching Sirius's flushed face and trailing his eyes down his body. Rubbing a careful thumb over Sirius's nipple, he pinched it lightly. "Should I not be? With a beautiful little bug on top of me, Squirming, Sirius leaned down to the kiss, letting their breaths meld into one long exchange. Remus took the kiss as permission to touch Sirius all over, rubbing his palms along the boy's sides and tickling him lightly, diffusing the growing tension as he giggled and fell to rest his head on Remus's chest again. Laid between his legs, he looked small and innocent, and it sent Remus's heart racing. Making the choice to ignore his erection, Remus stared up at the ceiling and let the soft steam lull him back into a sedate state. "Can I ask you about your scars?" Sirius whispered into the quiet, tracing imaginary shapes into Remus's chest. "I told you that I started out as a sub, yes?" Remus asked him, continuing when he got an affirming hum. "Well, when I met Lily, I was in a relationship with a man called Fenrir. My first year of uni, in Freshers' Week, he had cornered me in a club and convinced me to go home with him. I'd never experienced such an outright proposal before." Remus sighed, flinching a little when Sirius threaded their fingers together. "And I was flattered enough that I went along with him. We were together for the next 3 years, and to cut a long story short, he wasn't very careful with boundaries or consent. I'd read about BDSM before, back in the olden days where you couldn't as easily Google anything and end up with a world of opinions and advice." He tickled Sirius again, trying to bring some brevity into the situation. "Because you're so old, right?" Sirius teased, squealing when Remus pinched his side in retaliation. "Watch it, Bug." Remus chastised him, but really he was glad for the comedic relief. "He introduced me to kink, but without explaining about limits or safe words. I wasn't happy with him for a long time, but when I tried to leave, he did a lot of different things to me, things that I didn't enjoy or consent to. One of those things was using knives to mark me, and he had me convinced no one else would love me, that I deserved the way he treated me. Lily and I were on the same course, but it was a big cohort, and he made sure that I was isolated, until one day in the library, she came over and started making conversation about an assignment. She was the smartest one on our course, obviously, but it wasn't until years later I found out that she'd seen him openly abusing me in a club and decided to try and help me. When I managed to leave him, she gave me a place to stay, helped me with reporting him to the police." "I'm sorry, Ree." Sirius pressed a gentle kiss to his sternum. But you ended up as a dom? I did, Remus agreed. It took a lot of therapy to be comfortable in the community again, but the interest in BDSM never left me, especially once I started working with a sex-positive therapist that encouraged me to explore in a safe manner, which normally meant that Lily and I played together with another partner. Really? Sirius asked in a disbelieving tone. Mm-hmm. Remus tugged gently at his bun. I came to realize that while he had pigeonholed me into thinking I was a submissive person, I enjoyed dominance much more. Remember how I told you last night that victims sometimes need a controlled environment to help them? Uh-huh. Well, by having Lily there, I began to trust myself more and really came to appreciate what the scene could do to aid my recovery. It took a long time, but there is a reason we're so safety conscious here, and why our demonstrations emphasize what you should expect from both a dom and a sub as a beginner all the way up to advanced dynamics. You've been through so much. Sirius pressed a kiss to his knuckles, watching him with adoring eyes. Remus hummed, sinking lower into the water so that just his head and neck were above the milky warmth. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Since I'm so much older than you, Bug. I like it, Sirius reassured him, mouth pressing to his collarbone. A man of the world. Is that so? Remus asked, watching as another hickey temporarily marred his slick skin. He wasn't graced with a response. Sirius instead, doubling down and biting gently. A choked-off groan made its way out of Remus's throat, his flagging cock fattening up again at the stimulation. Sirius's eyes widened at the telltale sign of Remus's arousal, and he released the skin between his teeth to surge up and kiss the older man, slick skin sliding against slick skin until their cocks were pressed between their stomachs. Sirius breathed into his mouth. Please, will you touch me? Remus breathed into his mouth. Touch you how, Bug? My cock, Sirius panted into their kiss, lips meeting messily until Remus's hand in his hair wrenched his head back, a moan breaking free from his windpipe. Please, will you touch my cock? Even knowing that he would agree, watching the beautiful boy panting against his chest, Remus decided to take his teasing just a little further. Do you think you've been good enough for me to touch you there, Bug? Sirius moaned louder, body shivering in the water, and he was now working his hips against Remus's belly. He was so beautiful, Remus thought, unabashed in his hunt for release. You're a good boy, Sirius panted, choking out breaths as Remus bit at his neck, sucking a mark over his pulse point. Promise, I promise. Humming thoughtfully, Remus pretended to consider the options, while Sirius watched him with blown-out pupils. I think you'll get yourself off just like this, rubbing your cock into my belly, no? Sirius panted, shaking as the friction worked him closer and closer to the edge. I think all it will take is me pulling your hair like this. He punctuated the words with a strong, slow tug at the nape of his neck. For me to bite you just here. Remus licked and bit just below his ear, listening to the shuddery moan that came from just above him. And for me to tell you that I want you to be a good boy and come for me. I know you can do it, Bug. Sirius whined, falling forward into Remus as his orgasm pulsed through him, shuddering as his muscles tightened and released. Good boy. Remus held him close, stroking through his hair and gently rubbing a palm up and down his back. You were so good for me, Bug. Fuck, Sirius moaned brokenly, a little laugh breaking free from his throat as he panted, coming down from such an intense orgasm. How was that so good? Remus laughed with him, brandishing everywhere he could reach with kisses, his brow, cheeks, lips, and shoulder. I'm proud of you. It takes a lot to hand yourself over like that. You did so well. He looked innocent still, Remus realized, sat in the milky water with a secret little smile in pink cheeks. Pretty as a picture, only for Remus's consumption. The gods had chosen to bless him, truly. Thank you, Sirius whispered, blinking slowly through the steam. Can I get you off? Remus eyed him consideringly, trying to figure out if the boy was in the right headspace to reciprocate. What did you have in mind, love? My hand? Sirius suggested, reaching down to encircle Remus's cock, stroking it lightly as he watched Remus's face. I would love that, Remus agreed, kissing Sirius gently. Only if you want to. Don't feel as though you must, Bug. I want to, Sirius whispered, getting his knees under him carefully and sitting up, tightening his grip and beginning to work up and down carefully. Tell me if I'm doing it wrong? Remus let out a little laugh, grasping Sirius's face in one hand, the other under the water, holding his hip tightly. You won't do it wrong, love. Just like when you're touching yourself, okay? Okay. Sirius chewed at his lip, releasing it when Remus pushed his thumb into his mouth. Sucking at the appendage, his eyes lit up when Remus groaned in response, swirling his tongue around it. There you go, Bug, Remus moaned. Rub your hand over the top. Ah, he panted. Just like that. So good for me. Fuck. Want to see you come, Ree? Sirius garbled out around his fingers. Had a dream with you in it. Looked so good. Remus felt his hand clench on Sirius's hip, tight enough that he wouldn't be surprised if there was a bruise tomorrow morning, and his hips began to shift under the water, bouncing Sirius up and down gently. The visual that provided was enough to send him over the edge, head falling back and a slow groan escaping his lips, Sirius's encouraging words fading to background noise as blood rushed through his ears. Panting, Remus came back to earth with his boy in his lap, hugging his head to his chest. He laughed softly, running his hands from Sirius's thighs all the way up to his shoulders and back down again. Was that what you wanted? So hot, Sirius reassured him, leaning back down to kiss him passionately, his mouth tasting vaguely of orange-tinged bathwater. Want to do it again? Give me a minute, Bug. Remus laughed, feeling his heart rate slowly return to its resting pace. You did a really good job of that. Sirius's expression was bright and adoring, and Remus felt simultaneously like the luckiest man on the planet and like he'd stolen his virtue. Can't wait for you to teach me more, he murmured, leaning in for more kisses. You've created a monster, Ree. Better watch out. Remus laughed, tipping them both forward to pull the plug out. Oh no, whatever will I do? Sirius giggled, and instead of responding, he ducked in for a passionate kiss that migrated to Remus's neck, making it hard for him to concentrate on anything but the boy in his arms. Suffer. Where do we go from here? Sirius asked as they stopped at a red light just around the corner from the club. From Atelier to Sirius and James's flat was only a 20-minute drive, then a further 30 on the opposite direction to get to Remus's. Remus inquired, turning the radio down to background noise and directing some of his attention to the person beside him. Are we dating now? Sirius asked quietly. Are you going to pretend in work like we aren't playing or dating or whatever we are? Can Jamie know? Remus shifted gears and then held his hand out for Sirius's, placing it down on the shift and covering it with his own. You can absolutely tell James, and it's not a problem for people at work to know. I won't be treating you any differently when you are on shift or giving you any special opportunities. Although it's likely if you needed to be disciplined, then Lily would take care of it, and I would act as a witness rather than your supervisor. Okay, Sirius breathed. So you don't care if Caradoc figures out that we're together from the way I stare at you? Or if I tell the customers I belong to you when they try to hit on me? Remus's hand tightened briefly at the mention of customers flirting with Sirius, although he knew it wouldn't be reciprocated. No, Bug, I wouldn't mind that at all. Although, if they're creeping you out, then just jump straight to calling security to get them ejected. You don't need to try and use me to get rid. And what if I want to brag? Then brag away, Remus grinned. If you would like to consider us to be dating, then I have no problem with that. I'm entering into this with the expectation that we'll get to know each other, and it may eventually become a relationship. Thank you. What for, Bug? Remus questioned him gently, confused at the gratitude he was receiving. Well, Sirius began, I didn't know what this was, and it really helps me that you're giving such clear parameters about what we are and what we could become. Bug. Remus lifted their joined hands to gently kiss his fingers. This is the bare minimum. I need you to know that. I'm not doing anything particularly deserving of your adoration. Sirius let out a little hum that seemed to disagree with Remus's sentiments, so he gave a playful nip to the inside of Sirius's wrist that made the boy squirm. Glancing sidelong at him, Remus clarified, I'll text you later on to check in, and you're welcome to call and text me whenever, okay? I have a bit of work to do from last night that I need to get done this weekend. Sorry about that. Don't apologize, Remus said firmly. What happened last night was not your fault, and I very much enjoyed everything we did today. So did I. Sirius smiled softly, Remus catching his reflection in the window and returning the gesture. Pulling up outside his building, Remus felt a little pit in his stomach at letting the boy go for an unspecified amount of time. Right then. I'll speak to you later, okay? Mm-hmm, Sirius agreed, leaning forward to wrap his arms around Remus and burying his face in his neck. I miss you. I'll miss you too, Bug. Be good, Remus reaffirmed, running a hand over his hair and then fisting it gently, pulling Sirius back in order to kiss him soft and slow. With a final nip to his lips, Remus pulled back and unlocked the door, watching carefully until Sirius was in his building and safe once more.